Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio, we're talking about ASSE.com, the International Student Exchange Program. Elisa, welcome back, and welcome Dahlia.
Hi.
Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning, and I'm so glad that you've joined us this morning. We have a lot to cover. We're going to start with some, kind of oddball stories. Then we're going to get into, of course, Iran, a little bit more about Eric Swalwell, of course, reading your comments that you send to that number on the bottom of the screen. And then in the 7 o'clock hour, we'll be talking about ASSE.com, which is the International Exchange Student Program. We'll be joined by Elisa. Remember, she had Sylvia when we first started the program. Well, now she is being joined by Dahlia. We're going to hear from Dahlia in the 7 o'clock hour. Okay, first, this came in at the end of yesterday's broadcast. I apologize, I didn't have a chance to read it. Morning, Frank. Good morning. The Democrats are sure showing their true colors. Let's hope people are awake and don't believe their lies. Thank you very much. And that, I believe, would be in reference to Eric Swalwell. Well, for maybe many reasons, but Eric Swalwell, definitely an interesting case. We're going to talk about it in just a moment. Hey, here's one I did not expect to see. According to the Telegraph out of the United Kingdom, smoking is cool again, and Hollywood's to blame. From Oscar victors, One Battle After Another, and Sinners, to Disney's hit Kennedy drama, Love Story, cigarettes are creeping back on the screens. Okay. And they go through the history of smoking. It's quite a lengthy piece, but just something I did not expect to see. The term smoking pose has risen in internet search history by 70% year on year among those aged 18 to 24. Hence its popularity and the rise of new Instagram account, Sigfluencers, which is solely devoted to images of celebrities smoking in style. Most of the stars, bar a few old-timers such as Sean Penn, are young, impossibly photogenic, and achingly hip. All right. I did not realize. According to the Telegraph, the United Kingdom, smoking is cool again. Someone who was maybe infamous for photos with a cigarette. Hunter Biden is now, it is reported, now living abroad as his legal troubles mount. His attorney, Barry Coburn, disclosed Biden's current living situation in a April 6th court filing tied to a civil lawsuit over unpaid legal fees. Mr. Biden, quote, lives abroad. He cannot pay his current lawyers. Ooh. It remains unclear where the first son of former President Joe Biden has relocated. However, the 56-year-old previously indicated late last year that he has been visiting Cape Town in South Africa, where his wife, Melissa Cohen Biden, is originally from. All right. Now, speaking of Hunter Biden, the former first son, Hunter Biden, trashed President Trump's use of the clemency power while acknowledging the hypocrisy of him doing so after his father, Joe, gave him an unconditional pardon. So imagine, he acknowledged the hypocrisy, but imagine criticizing, or even bringing up the topic, but criticizing Trump for his use of clemency while his father gave him a blanket pardon for, we didn't even know it was possible, for past crimes. It was a huge window, I think even future crimes. Quote, I'm completely biased as it relates to what my dad did for me. I fully understand how uniquely situated I am in being privileged enough to have received a pardon from my father. I don't think that the founders ever imagined Donald Trump. I don't think they ever imagined the Trump family. Okay. Infamously, former President Joe Biden gave his lone surviving son a full and unconditional pardon for all crimes he may have committed. That's what it was. Between January 1st of 2014 and December 1st of 2024. Both the 46th president and White House official had insisted dozens of times that Joe Biden would not pardon his troubled son. However, when the time came, Biden argued that his son was being, quote, selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Even some on the left at the time were very upset with Joe Biden doing this because they felt that it could create a scenario where President Trump could do the same thing. So Hunter said, I think my dad gave 80 or so pardons over a 4-year period of time. Donald Trump has given over 1,500 pardons in his first year alone. But I'm not the one to be, I don't think, fairly or unbiasedly talking about the presidential pardon power. Yeah, that seems like a topic that if I were Hunter Biden, I'd be tempted to perhaps, maybe not, wade into that territory. Okay, this was reported just a few hours ago. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard sent at least one criminal referral to the Justice Department seeking investigations of a whistleblower complaint and its handling by the intelligence community watchdog that led to the 2019 impeachment of President Donald Trump. Gabbard this week released documents that she said exposed a, quote, conspiracy used by Congress to impeach President Trump. Gabbard's office said the released documents show that the intelligence community Inspector General Michael Atkinson did not follow policy in the handling of the whistleblower complaint. The documents include transcripts of Atkinson's testimony before the House Intelligence Committee in 2019 and notes from interviews with the whistleblower. Atkinson spent 15 years at the Justice Department before serving as Inspector General of the Intelligence Community from 2018 to 2020. Atkinson's reputation as a straight shooter, only CNN would put that, prompted some lawmakers who were otherwise skeptical of the whistleblower complaint to take the documents seriously. Okay. Trump fired Atkinson in April of 2020, raising concerns that the president was meddling in the work of what was supposed to be an independent watchdog group. Gabbard has used her tenure leading the intelligence community to push political claims by Trump that he was the victim of false allegations, tying him and his campaign to Russia. All right, so that was a little bit of breaking news yesterday. We're moving quick, folks. All right, yesterday we got a couple of things here about the justice system. Yesterday we had a viewer write in about Boasberg, appointed. Who did we say he was appointed by? I think Barack Obama. He's been kind of reprimanded quite a few times for his decisions in regard to Trump. Well, Senator Eric Schmidt called on House Republicans Tuesday to impeach District Judge James Boasberg after a federal appeals court ordered the jurist to end his criminal contempt probe against Trump administration officials. The majority of the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals found Boasberg's effort to bring contempt charges against former Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and other top executive branch officials over their involvement in the deportation of hundreds of suspected Tren de Aragua gang members to El Salvador last March were, quote, a clear abuse of discretion, intrusive, and a legal dead end. Schmidt wrote on Twitter, the D.C. Circuit ruled Boasberg's contempt crusade against Trump officials is an improper investigation and clear abuse of discretion. He tried to imprison Trump officials for deporting Venezuelan gang members, the senator continued. I'm calling on the House, impeach rogue Judge Boasberg. The process for impeaching a federal judge is the same as it is for a president. The House will launch an impeachment inquiry, likely headed by the House Judiciary Committee, and then draft and vote on articles of impeachment. If the House passes the articles of impeachment, the Senate would handle the impeachment trial and vote to convict or acquit the judge. It's unlikely the Senate would be able to muster the two-thirds majority necessary to convict Boasberg in the event he's impeached. In a separate post, Schmidt argued that Boasberg forced himself onto the case last March involving President Trump's use of the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to deport illegal Venezuelan migrants with alleged gang ties. Quote, just a few days after trying to foment a constitutional crisis at a judicial conference meeting. The senator was referring to comments the Obama-appointed judge allegedly made during a March 11 judicial conference attended by Supreme Court Justice John Roberts and other jurists. While there, Judge Boasberg attempted to improperly influence Chief Justice Roberts and roughly 24 other federal judges by straying from the traditional topics to express his belief that the Trump administration would disregard rulings of federal courts and trigger a constitutional crisis. Then, Justice Department official Chad Mizell wrote in a misconduct complaint filed last July with the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. Trump had previously slammed Boasberg as a grandstander and highly conflicted radical left judge who's attempting to usurp his presidential power. And that's clear. He's a rogue judge. He's an activist judge. That's why his name comes up numerous times on this program. This judge should be impeached, the president said back in March of 2025. A spokesperson for the House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Everything's on the table, Jordan had previously remarked about Boasberg. We're going to look at everything, all the tools that we have to let some of these judges know that the president and Congress are separate but equal branches of government. So Boasberg facing new calls for impeachment after that decision. Okay. When we come back, I see a couple comments coming in. Keep those waves coming in. I got a couple other things about the Supreme Court that I just want to mention quickly before we get into a couple of other updates from topics we brought up in the past few shows and past few weeks. We also have, like I said, some updates on Iran, some updates on J.D. Vance, the media. So stay with us. We're just getting started here on Frankly Speaking at WYDC TV. Big Fox. We'll be right back.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators.
What can this ball teach us about the way things move?
But right now, millions of kids go to schools that don't have the supplies they need just because of where they live. Donors Choose is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. You could supply a classroom like this one with a project. But what you're really giving is the moment that sparks a brighter tomorrow. Learn more at donorschoose.org.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Our shower and thunderstorm chances are lower today with the storms more isolated in nature. West-southwest wind approaching 10 miles per hour. Temperatures above average by about 23 degrees as we manage the low 80s. Staying closer to average highs for our lows tonight in the upper 50s. Then for our Friday, we will continue to see a couple of showers earlier on. Otherwise, looking at a drier day before the next round of showers.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Mark writes in, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Mark. I see the Democrats have filed 5 articles of impeachment against Pete Hegseth. What is their reasoning for that? Well, their reasoning is war crimes. They are citing war crimes as the reason they have filed the impeachment. House Democrats, is actually 6 articles of impeachment now against Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, accusing him of an abuse of power, war crimes, and other serious wrongdoings. Now, the measure, it should be noted, has virtually no chance of passing, according to Axios. But it is the latest sign the Democrats have coalesced around Hegseth as their new top target in Trump's cabinet. Democrats previously pushed to impeach former Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and former Attorney General Pam Bondi, both of whom were ousted by Trump in recent months. With his longstanding scandals, and now the conflict with Iran, Hegseth is a prime candidate to become the party's latest boogeyman, or if you watch True Grit, Boogerman. What are the longstanding scandals? What they're saying, this is just another Democrat trying to make headlines as the Department of War decisively and overwhelmingly achieved the president's objectives in Iran, said Pentagon Press Secretary Kingsley Wilson. Hegseth will continue to protect the homeland and protect peace through strength. The 7-page impeachment resolution, a copy of which was first obtained by Axios, allergies are getting me this year, obtained by Axios, focuses primarily on U.S. operations in Iran, Signalgate, I forgot about that, and Hegseth's alleged personal misconduct. Interesting. This alleged personal misconduct, wasn't that something that they brought up during the confirmation hearing? So what is new, and what is the specific misconduct? Excuse me. It is being introduced by Representative Yashman Ansari, a Democrat from Arizona, the president of the House Democrats freshman class. The president of the House Democrats freshman class and the first Iranian-American Democrat elected to Congress. It has 8 Democrat co-sponsors: Representative Steve Cohen, Jasmine Crockett, there she is, Nakima Williams, Dina Titus, David Min, and Sri Tandar, Brittany Peterson, and Sarah McBride. It is also supported by several progressive and anti-war groups. Sorry, I don't have a cough button. And anti-war groups, including Move On, Indivisible, and the Center for International Policy. Article 1, unauthorized war against Iran and reckless endangerment of United States service members. This article focuses on the U.S. launching strikes against Iran without first seeking congressional approval. It also accuses Hegseth of signing off on plans involving extreme and unnecessary risk to United States personnel and interests, citing the administration's consideration of ground operations in Iran. Article 2 of impeachment. I didn't think I was going to spend a whole segment on this, but it looks like we will. Violations of the law of armed conflict and targeting of civilians. Hegseth, quote, authorized, condoned, or failed to prevent, unquote, operations in Iran, resulting in large number of civilian casualties and the destruction of civilian infrastructure in Iran. It cites the U.S. bombing of a girls' school, as well as the reports of double-tap strikes on alleged Venezuelan drug boats in the Caribbean. It also points to Hegseth saying the U.S. will have no quarter, no mercy for our enemies, saying he is engaged in conduct that raises serious concerns of violations of the Geneva Convention and other binding legal obligations. Number 3, if you're just joining us, these are the articles of impeachment that Dems have filed against Pete Hegseth. Number 3, negligence and reckless handling of sensitive military information. This article focuses on Signalgate, a scandal last year in which Atlantic editor Jeff Goldberg was accidentally added to a Signal chat. Now listen, we were critical of that at the time. I don't know how of all people it's Jeff Goldberg that got put on that. That was raised serious concerns going back to Trump's first term of leakers and people that did not have Trump's best interest at heart. I do not believe that to be Pete Hegseth at all. I'm just saying at the time we were critical of it, if you recall. Number 4, obstruction of congressional oversight. Hegseth has failed to provide timely and complete information regarding military operations to Congress. It also accuses him of withholding material facts related to civilian casualties and operational conduct in Iran, Venezuela, and other military theaters. Number 5, abuse of power and politicalization of the armed forces. This article accuses Hegseth of using his position to influence military decisions for improper political purposes and undermining the principle of a nonpartisan and professional armed forces. It cites bogus investigations against specific elected officials for the express purpose of political retribution. That's likely in reference to the Pentagon's probe to Senator Mark Kelly. Article 6, the final article. Conduct bringing disrepute upon the United States and its armed forces. Hegseth is accused of having acted in a manner contrary to public trust and shaken public confidence in the integrity and ability of the Pentagon. The article cites several of Trump administration's socially conservative military policies, including criticism of NATO, rolling back of DEI and affirmative action programs, and restrictions against transgender service members. The Pentagon spokesperson again said this is just another charade and an attempt to distract the American people from the major success we have here at the Department of War. So it is now 6. Originally it was originally 5, Mark. They had to correct themselves too. 6 articles of impeachment. So there's your, I think, questionable logic behind the impeachment, but there we are. All right, when we return, we're going to talk a little bit about the Supreme Court. There is talks that potentially Alito could retire before the midterms. Some are also speculating about Clarence Thomas, though not as loudly as Alito. Trump sort of signaling he would like to see that, or that he's prepared at least for that. We'll talk just a little bit about that, and we'll tell you about some criticism from and at Justice Sonia Sotomayor and Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Accidents happen. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. It's your choice where to take your vehicle. Nappy's works with all insurance companies and will manage all vehicle calibrations. Nappy's has a state-of-the-art paint booth and a new and improved repair shop. Let our friendly staff of specialists help you through the process and get it done right the first time. Commit to Nappy's, family-owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business.
Workforce invites you to the 2026 Regional Job Fair at SUNY Corning Community College, Wednesday, April 22nd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Area employers with immediate full-time, part-time, and internship opportunities will be on hand, with many conducting on-site interviews. It's free and open to the public, so bring an ample supply of resumes and dress for success. Explore, network, and upgrade your career at the Regional Job Fair inside the gymnasium at SUNY Corning Community College, Academic Drive in Corning, Wednesday, April 22nd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Dear Coach.
Dear Coach, they don't teach you that inner strength is the most important kind of strong. But you taught me that.
They don't teach you how to build confidence in yourself or how to deal with all the pressures all at once. But you taught me that.
First tee was more than golf. It's where I discovered what I'm capable of.
You didn't just prepare me for 18 holes. You were preparing me for every day of my life. Learn more at firsttee.org.
Quarterback at Hardaway High School, college first round draft pick. During the football season, I would stop eating. But I didn't know I was depressed. We didn't have any education behind what mental health was. I started to learn it starts here first. If this is together, I'll be better as a father and as a husband. We have to redefine what being a strong man is and heal, love your mind.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Ken writes in, with Eric Swalwell gone, the craziest of the Democrat rank and file are going to try and out TDS him to get the attention of the Democrat leadership and legacy media to hopefully get national attention. Yeah, he does provide kind of a void for the legacy media. They loved him because of his TDS, because of his dogged-like obsession with Trump and his hatred for Trump. We're going to actually talk about him after we talk about the justices here. His lawyer going an interesting avenue with their defense. So I guess they no longer are saying something didn't happen. The argument that Lisa Bloom, his attorney, is making, we'll talk about this more in depth a little bit later on, quote, regret is not rape. Now, this comes from a person, Eric Swalwell, that considered himself a feminist, that latched on to the Me Too movement, who latched on to attacking Trump and trying to tie him in with Epstein. It's an interesting argument to make. It goes to show you where their true, quote, morals are. It's the same with those in the media who are now saying that, oh, we knew or we had heard about it, but we never investigated it. The same with people like Nancy Pelosi and others in Washington who helped build Eric Swalwell up, who had been covering for him. This was not a well-kept secret about, even his best friend has downplayed it and said, well, I heard he was flirty, which is, no one's ever came up to somebody and said, hey, your buddy's flirty. Come on. So it wasn't a secret, really. And it goes to show you where their morals and ethics really are. Is not until it either is exposed, then you say, oh, I'd heard something about that, or you downplay it, or when he's no longer useful and actually is harmful to the party, that's when you release the hounds. Okay, U.S. Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor said Wednesday she regrets hurtful remarks about a colleague, specifically Justice Brett Kavanaugh, that she made. She apologized in a court-issued statement. During a prior appearance at the University of Kansas School of Law, Sonia Sotomayor, without mentioning him by name, criticized Kavanaugh, quote, for failing to grasp the real-world effects of an unsigned order last year that allowed immigration enforcement sweeps in L.A. to resume. She said at the time, I had a colleague in the case who wrote, you know, these are only temporary stops. Sonia Sotomayor said during the appearance, noting a Kavanaugh concurrence and an emergency appeal filed by the Trump administration, Nome v. Perdomo. It was a case that the Supreme Court stayed 6-3 in September, allowing ICE to use apparent race or ethnicity language and work location to justify immigration stops in California. That's when Sonia Sotomayor said, this is from a man whose parents were professionals and probably doesn't really know any person who works by the hour. Wow. Sotomayor, who filed the dissenting opinion, alleged in her remarks at Kansas University that Kavanaugh failed to grasp that even short detentions can have major financial consequences for hourly workers. She added her life experiences taught her how to think more broadly and to see things others may not. Ooh, good for her. Patting herself on the back. In a statement released by the Supreme Court Wednesday, Sotomayor said she referred to a disagreement with one of my colleagues in a prior case, but made remarks that were inappropriate. I regret my hurtful comments. I have apologized to my colleague. Now, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson has delivered a sustained attack on her conservative colleagues' use of emergency orders to benefit the Trump administration, calling the orders scratch paper musings that can seem oblivious and thus ring hollow. Now, this is amazing coming from her because we've seen her really twist herself up into pretzels or jump through hoops to try to reach a decision that is just pushing the far left agenda. Because remember, the left has done this for decades, where they used to anyway, use the courts to get through things that were unpopular with the voters. So she's still trying to attempt that. She's still trying, and like a good soldier, making sure that she pushes that far left agenda. She delivered a lengthy assessment of roughly 24 court orders issued last year that allowed President Trump to put in place controversial policies on immigration, steep federal funding cuts, and other topics, after lower courts found that they were likely illegal. I'm not going to go through all this. But even her own far-left justices have criticized her for really creating law or creating precedent, which this is kind of an oxymoron, creating precedent out of thin air. And she has the audacity to question her colleagues on the judicial. Anyway, I don't want to go through any more of that. But like I said, and your thoughts on this, Trump leans in on a major 2026 issue, which is possibly replacing Justices Alito and Justice Thomas. We had heard, it probably was yesterday, maybe the day before, that there was talks about Alito retiring, had not heard about Thomas. But he kind of suggested that a conveniently timed retirement this year would be nice. Trump couched his comments on Maria Bartiromo in respect for the jurisprudence and decision-making process of both justices. But he also repeatedly gestured at the political utility, of them retiring soon. He said, I think he is one of the great justices of all time, referring to Alito. It'd be nice to say, now I have somebody for 40 years. So, kind of a little back and forth, kill him with kindness, and then say, but Trump said he already has a short list of possible replacements. Was it Lindsey Graham? I shouldn't have knee-jerk on that. I think it was Lindsey Graham that called, and there was calls for this in the past, in the first term, to put Ted Cruz on there. I think that would be very interesting. I think Ted Cruz would be a great Supreme Court justice. He seemed to point to Ruth Bader Ginsburg as a cautionary tale, noting she declined to retire and then died when Trump was able to appoint a conservative replacement. Quote, she really hurt herself within the Democrat Party, which I'm sure after your past, I don't think that's your major concern. But there was criticism. She was a kind of a folk hero amongst the left. And then it was a little bit after she passed away and Trump got another justice in there where people still, they find it on the left tough to criticize her. But there were quite a few articles that came out and really called her some very nasty things because she didn't retire when she should have in their mind. So they went after her in her passing, which is kind of disgraceful in a way, but went after her in her passing, saying that she should have got out while Biden, or that would have been Obama, where Obama could have picked a justice. He twice alluded to how justices can preserve their ideology on the court for decades to come by allowing for a like-minded replacement. Now, keep in mind, if this happens after the midterm and Democrats win the House and or the Senate, it's going to be tough. So that's why Trump is talking about kind of the placement and the timing. This is one of the biggest political questions of 2026 for a host of reasons, says Aaron Blake from CNN. And the decision made by Alito, who is 76, and Thomas, who is 77, could reverberate in many ways. The first thing to note is that Alito and or Thomas retiring would be very much in keeping with how things work on the Supreme Court. The last 7 justices to retire, as opposed to dying in office like Ginsburg or Scalia, have done so when the party more aligned with them controlled both the presidency and the Senate and could confirm a like-minded replacement. While judges like to talk about how the judiciary isn't just another political branch of government, the pattern of the retirement timing doesn't seem like a coincidence. Alito and Thomas are close to the normal retirement age, even if both are a bit on the young side. The last 10 justices, imagine this, the last 10 justices to retire were 80 years old on average. Wow. Both could stick it out, but if Republicans lose the Senate in November, the justices could be well into their 80s before the GOP holds the White House and the Senate again. One reason Thomas could hang on, though, he's about 2 years from becoming the longest-serving justice ever. And there will also likely be significant political pressure to avoid the situation that Ginsburg put Democrats in. Whether it comes from Trump or other Republicans, Stephen Breyer faced pressure to retire early in Joe Biden's presidency after the Ginsburg episode. He eventually did in 2022. The political risk for Trump is great because it's looking increasingly like the Democrats will make significant gains in the midterms. At least in the House, it'll be much harder for Democrats to flip the Senate since it involves winning some red states that Trump won by double digits, but it can't be ruled out. And what's more, even if Senate Democrats come up short in November, there could be a big difference between Trump nominating a justice with 53 Republican votes this year and trying to do so with 50 or 51 in the second half of his term. In the latter case, he could be relying on more moderate senators like Alaska's Lisa Murkowski and Maine's Susan Collins if she wins re-election this year. Anyway, so your thoughts on that and Trump evoking Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And man, that was crazy when the left started turning on her. All right, we got one other update I want to mention before we go to Eric Swalwell. We have talked so much about this. How do I want to word it without being... Well, let me take a step back. Marjorie Taylor Greene has found a niche, however you want to say it, where she attacks Trump and she gets loved by people that hate her. The term in Washington, as we've said a million times and elsewhere, is useful idiot. Because they don't like her and they would turn on her again in a heartbeat if she said anything conservative. But because she's bad-mouthing Trump and they can quote her, we had article after article last week quoting her about questioning Trump's mental health. And the whole article would be based on bipartisan support for Trump's ouster, bipartisan belief that Trump is not mentally stable. And it was over and over. And the people that were quoted were the same cast of characters. And one was Marjorie Taylor Greene was a major one they keep quoting. And this is what I mean by useful idiot. So she does this, she gets to go on The View, she gets to go on CNN. I don't know the other outlets, but far left outlets. And she loves the attention. Just like if you look at it at the beginning of her career, when she was a quote unquote firebrand for conservatives and for Trump, she got a lot of attention. She loved it. She loved saying kind of outrageous things in Washington, and it got her that attention. Well, now she knows she can't get that anymore, the old-fashioned way, if you will, by standing up supposedly for what you believe in. So she has to turn and now attack Trump because she still wants that attention. She still wants to be relevant. She still wants to see herself on the TV screen at night and have people text her and say, hey, I saw you, good job, that type of thing. But this is what you get when you go down that dirty path. The View co-hosts got into a spat over embracing Marjorie Taylor Greene. So she thinks she's going to be liked by the cool kids in the room, in the media, when the whole time they've hated her, they're just using her. And now they're even saying, nah, we don't like this. We don't like her before. Just, again, admitting to what we've been saying all this time. Joy Behar said both sides of the political aisle need reconciliation, saying they both have major issues. They recognize things they've said in the past about each other that are horrendous, on both sides actually, but it seems to me they are seeing the emergency we're in right now with Trump and the White House. Quote, I always will welcome. You've seen the light. Come right into my tent, Behar said. There's a lot of room for the never-Trumpers and the non-Trumpers. Maybe that's what it's going to be now. Fellow co-host Sarah Hines blasted the idea, saying that embracing people on the right would be unwise if they still hold ideological opinions and associations she finds problematic. Quote, so these details matter. Just because she agrees, oh, I don't like Trump, I'm not like, great, welcome aboard. You've got to look at the character of people you're speaking of. Yes, she is not, according to that host, not 100% ideologically loyal to the Democrat Party. So, hating Trump isn't enough, Marjorie Taylor Greene. They just essentially embarrassed you after using you. So Behar, getting kind of angry, said, what, we reject her altogether? Sonny Hostin said, yes, we should reject her altogether. I'm sorry, Joy. And then they even teased Behar, why are you so welcoming, Joy? There you go, Marjorie Taylor Greene. You were used by The View. And now they're saying they don't want you anymore because we should, quote, reject her altogether because she is not 100% in lockstep with the far left belief of The View. Wow. The View has had Greene on the program twice in the last 6 months. She loves it. And this is what she gets for her troubles. It's unbelievable. And yet she'll still go down the trap, just like Liz Cheney, just like Chris Christie. They want to be like, and I don't know, and this is not insulting, or at least I don't mean it to be. But the Republicans that turn on their party to be liked by the media because they think the media is the cool kids and they get all this attention, my theory has always been that maybe they weren't popular growing up, didn't have a lot of friends, and then they get to Washington, and they want to be liked so bad that they find any way, like the kid that embarrasses himself in junior high just to get the laughs and just to get friends. It's sort of like that. And The View just proved it. That's what you get for being the quote-unquote useful idiot. So your thoughts on that? I didn't mean to spend that much time on it because we're running really late. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
More cars, lower prices. Simmons Rockwell. Whether you're in the market for new, used, or certified pre-owned, Simmons Rockwell locations across the Twin Tiers have more of what you're looking for with our best price right on the windshield. Make car buying simple when you drive your deal at a Simmons Rockwell location near you, where you'll always find more cars at lower prices.
The only thing more American than apple pie and 4th of July is baseball. This year, WYDC is bringing you 25 New York Mets games free over the air this spring and summer. No fees and no subscription services. Tune into WJKP 48.2 to watch the New York Mets this MLB season. Let's go Mets!
At Carr Phillips and Flint, we want people to know that we're a welcoming family.
We not only serve our community, but we live in our community. Our kids go to school here. It's not uncommon to see one of us at a local business or for a walk, at a sporting event.
The community here and everything it has to offer. I can't think of a better place to raise my children.
We are a part of this community and we're invested in this community.
Visit carpentersphillipsflint.com to learn more about our family-owned funeral homes.
Kids' time. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Our shower and thunderstorm chances are lower today with the storms more isolated in nature. West-southwest wind approaching 10 miles per hour. Temperatures above average by about 23 degrees as we manage the low 80s. Staying closer to average highs for our lows tonight in the upper 50s. Then for our Friday, we will continue to see a couple of showers earlier on. Otherwise, looking at a drier day before the next round of showers.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Coming up in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking with Elisa and Dahlia from International Student Exchange Program, ASSE.com. If you want to find out more information, we've had quite a few foreign exchange students on this program. I always find it fun to have students, and in this case, international students on the show. I think you'll enjoy that interview in the 7 o'clock hour. Okay, so I just find this weird. From a party that talks about, and with the Me Too movement, it was very vocal. They believe all women, trust all women. Well, according to Lisa Bloom, the attorney for Eric Swalwell's alleged rape victim. Wait, hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize earlier. The headline got me screwed up. Lisa Bloom is not Eric Swalwell's attorney. Lisa Bloom is the attorney for the alleged rape victim. She hit back on Eric Swalwell's attorney's claim that regret is not rape. The high-powered attorney representing one of the women accusing Eric Swalwell of sex crimes has fired back at his lawyer for claiming regret is not rape. So it was legal advisor Sarah Azari and Lisa Bloom. Got this all, the names got me all screwed up. Lisa Bloom torched the former congressman and his legal advisor, Sarah Azari, after she cast doubt over the 5 women who made sexual assault allegations against him. So here's what needs to be noted, if I can dig myself out of this hole. It wasn't Lisa Bloom. Lisa Bloom attacked the line, but it still, my point is valid, very valid, that Eric Swalwell's lawyer, Sarah Azari, decides that in a time when, again, Eric Swalwell declared himself a feminist at one point, said the whole Me Too movement with the believe all women, trust all women, his lawyer in his defense, they're not, I guess at this point, denying something occurred between him and these women. They're saying, and I quote, regret is not rape. That is what you need to take away when someone like Eric Swalwell, some of the Democrat Party that helped create him, like that Gallego or Nancy Pelosi, when they get on their moral high ground and lecture you about what's right and wrong. Remember that. Also remember that they kept this secret and everybody knew that he had these skeletons in his closet. They just didn't report on it. They just didn't say anything. But his lawyer, their argument from Democrat Eric Swalwell is regret is not rape. Bloom, who is representing Lana Drews in her criminal case, told the California Post, quote, literally the only person taking Eric Swalwell's side today is his paid attorney, who had to come up with something. So she's going with blaming Lana. To quote Swalwell himself at Justice Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation hearing, quote, what are the chances that 3 or 4 women independently who never met each other would have similar experiences with one person? Wow, quoting Eric Swalwell himself. This Lisa Bloom. She's killing it. Good for her. It came just hours after Azari took to the airwaves to fight back on behalf of Swalwell. She told News Nation, regret is not rape. The fact that, a day later, years later, or whatnot, you may have had shame around what you did, or maybe you were in a relationship and shouldn't have done what you did, doesn't make it rape. I think it demonstrates a tremendous amount of accountability, not because he's done these things and he's stepping down, but because how could he properly defend himself and represent his constituency with these serious allegations pending? So he couldn't be able to do his job properly. And it was the right thing to do, meaning stepping down. Wow. From the avowed feminist, Eric Swalwell's lawyer, that regret is not rape. Now, as I said, I'm going to take a break because I got a cough again. Stay with me. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
With Steel Battery. Save up to $50 on select AK battery tools. Shop in-store or online.
The only thing more American than apple pie and 4th of July is baseball. This year, WYDC is bringing you 25 New York Mets games free over the air this spring and summer. No fees and no subscription services. Just turn on WJKP 48.2 and grab a comfortable seat right at home to watch baseball history unfold. Make sure you don't miss a home run. And tune into WJKP 48.2 to watch the New York Mets this MLB season. Let's go Mets!
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. This is interesting. So a viewer just sent this into me, and I appreciate it. I can't find... Let me read the piece, and you'll just show you how biased the media is. Florida governor candidate Kevin Jakowski is arrested after allegedly beating his parents. This happened the other day. A Florida governor candidate was arrested for allegedly beating his elderly parents with a cane and a cell phone. He is currently running to succeed Governor Ron DeSantis, has been charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, 2 counts of battery on a person over 65, aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, tampering with a witness, and 2 counts of robbery by sudden snatching, according to the press release. I could go through this whole article, and it will not tell you in this whole piece what party he was in. Isn't that interesting? Why would that be? What? He's a Democrat, by the way. But it's relatively breaking. Happened the other day. Okay, but thank you. That's more of an expose on the bias of the media. So going back to a comment by The View, because as I said, I know I don't want to quote The View all morning, but as I said, it was a dirty secret, but everybody knew it, about Eric Swalwell. And they kept it secret. Well, Alyssa Farah Griffin on The View claimed on Wednesday that she was privately disturbed by allegedly seeing Eric Swalwell overserved with alcohol at an event. Now, why do these stories never come up until after the fact? Why was that not brought up on The View in the past? Maybe when Eric Swalwell announced that he was running for governor of California, why didn't she say, well, you know, I saw him overserved at an event? Because you don't think for a moment she would do that if it were a Republican? Or for instance, and I keep equating it to this, but do you remember, I think it was it Chuck Todd? I think it was, who came out after the presidential debate and said, oh, I talked to a lot of people, and there was real concern about Biden's mental acuity, and a Secret Service member told me that he's not stable. Wait, so you tell it after the fact, after the world knew. Where was this the last 3 years? In Eric Swalwell's case, where was this when the media, and I don't know, I wish I had the person's name, and I saw it on Twitter, it was reputable, where she said, well, I had heard about this in the past. She was a journalist. I'd heard about this in the past, but my beat, my area of journalism wasn't women's issues or Washington, something like that. Oh, so it wasn't your job to report on this, to protect other women. Co-host Whoopi Goldberg noted that Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego, one of Swalwell's closest friends and allies, admitted there were rumors about Swalwell's flirtatious behavior for years. Gallego saying, Eric Swalwell lied to all of us. He lied to the most powerful people in the country, and they trusted him. They trusted him with some of the most sensitive spots in our government, whether it was on Judiciary Committee, Intel Committee, or impeaching Donald Trump. He later added that I clouded my judgment, my friendship with him. Our family's friendship together with him clouded my judgment, and I was wrong, and I deeply, deeply regret that. Yeah, trust me. Behind the scenes, Eric Swalwell said, listen, I'm in a mess, Gallego. They're best friends. He said, you can throw me under the bus now. Save your own career. I've got my own fish to fry. No harm, no foul. Say what you got to say. So Griffin said, I do think the rumors matter because, to be honest, I had heard and even experienced nothing wrong or criminal, but I've been with Eric Swalwell when he seemed overserved. I'm not saying something I wouldn't have said to his face, and I filed it away. Just as a woman, you pay attention when you're like, this is a business setting. This is something I'm not super comfortable with. People who even had a little inkling should have stepped up and said something. And if you knew of something wrong, something criminal, you absolutely needed to. People who even had a little inkling. So why didn't it come up when he ran for governor that, man, he likes to be overserved? Because remember, the media had no trouble running with the lie that Pete Hegseth was some kind of drunk, right? Based on, I don't even know, based on rumors in innuendo. That was no problem, but Griffin didn't seem to take the time out of the precious moments on air on The View to say when Swalwell announced his candidacy that, oh, he might have a drinking problem. Swalwell sat on the Intel Committee, and there were allegations he had suspected Chinese spy Fang Fang, who was associated with him in his office. Now, he was not found to have engaged in wrongdoing, but to me, my spidey senses from having worked at the Pentagon go off, which is when an open secret that had issues with women, that he was somebody who was susceptible, potentially to heavy drinking, to impropriety with women. So now Griffin, in her bravery, decides to bring it up after it's been exposed. America's adversaries look for how to exploit that. So that, to me, pinpoints it was openly known. Nobody did anything about it, but thank God that now Democrats, Adam Schiff and others, have called for him to step aside, and he did the right thing by doing it. So now we're thanking Adam Schiff Why don't we thank Nancy Pelosi, too? Thank all these people that built him up for years and kept this secret. Thank heavens for them. For now, when he's no longer politically useful, as a matter of fact, he's a hindrance to their governor's race, now he's ousted. My goodness, no shame, no shame. We've got to take a short break, and then we're going to wrap up our number one after this.
CSS Workforce invites you to the 2026 Regional Job Fair at SUNY Corning Community College, Wednesday, April 22nd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Area employers with immediate full-time, part-time, and internship opportunities will be on hand, with many conducting on-site interviews. It's free and open to the public, so bring an ample supply of resumes and dress for success. Explore, network, and upgrade your career at the Regional Job Fair inside the gymnasium at SUNY Corning Community College, Academic Drive in Corning, Wednesday, April 22nd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Our shower and thunderstorm chances are lower today, with the storms more isolated in nature. West-southwest wind approaching 10 miles per hour. Temperatures above average by about 23 degrees as we manage the low 80s. Staying closer to average highs for our lows tonight in the upper 50s. Then for our Friday, we will continue to see a couple of showers earlier on. Otherwise, looking at a drier day before the next round of showers Saturday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you to the viewer who sent the story in. There was a woman who claimed that she was an ICE detention victim, that she was thrown into ICE. She shouldn't have been. She's some type of influencer, I think. They're now claiming it's very much like Jussie Smollett. Was that his name? Jussie Smollett. She was in a hotel the whole time. They have video of her in the hotel going to like the spa and all these things. And she was trying to make a name for herself by saying she was improperly detained by ICE. Well, now the sheriff is suing for $1 million because of the hoax. The girl's name, Sundis Sunny Nakvi. She went viral claiming ICE detained her for 30 hours at O'Hare and transported her across state lines. While it was all a hoax, she was actually at, according to this, the Hampton Inn and Suites in Rosemont, Illinois. All right. Comment from Ken. The View is just parroting what their bosses, the Democrat leadership, wants everyone to know. If you're not 100% in agreement with everything they say and do, you're not wanted. You're absolutely right, Ken. Could not agree more. And they're saying that with, I mean, look at that. Marjorie Taylor Greene can come on the show and basically agree with everything they're saying on The View. They can all pat each other on the back. But because off the air, Marjorie Taylor Greene has a little bit of, I guess, conservative streak, they say, no, we don't like her anymore. Now, Democrat candidates in California are scrambling to get Eric Swalwell's votes. And how are they doing so? By leaning on their family man image. Yeah, now's the time to do it. Among those looking to capitalize are former U.S. Health Secretary Xavier Becerra and San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan. They're emphasizing their personal character alongside experience as voters reassess the field in the wake of the scandal. Anyway, that's one way to do it. Hey, I'm not like Eric Swalwell. Everybody knew about Eric Swalwell. Well, like Miranda Devine said, and we're going to move away from this. We're going to get to Iran in the next hour, and then we're going to talk with Elisa Trosha and Dahlia from International Student Exchange Program. But Miranda Devine, I'm not saying she's late to the party, but she's echoing what we've been saying for a week now. Eric Swalwell's fall from grace was by design, and so Democrats can keep their grubby hands on California. Swalwell's clinical political eradication this week tells you everything about the Democratic Party and how ruthlessly and effectively they will move to keep to power in the state they have controlled for 15 years and run it into the ground. And she goes through to talk about all the waste, fraud, and corruption that's happening in California, much like in Minnesota with Medicaid. But they just had to keep their machine. Never mind, they were willing to prop up Swalwell until he became the problem. She said, "Believe all women" was concocted against Brett Kavanaugh. Yet, according to one of Swalwell's accusers, he had just done to her only months before what he was accused of blameless Kavanaugh of doing. His poor wife and kids. Swalwell will get his due process in court. Good riddance. Character is destiny. The machine lives on. But yes, doing what exactly he accused Brett Kavanaugh of doing. His lawyer now saying that regret is not rape. I don't know. Enough on Eric Swalwell. We are out of time for this hour. Stay with us. Hour number 2 coming up after this.
Accidents happen. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. It's your choice where to take your vehicle. Nappy's works with all insurance companies and will manage all vehicle calibrations. Nappy's has a state-of-the-art paint booth and a new and improved repair shop. Let our friendly staff of specialists help you through the process and get it done right the first time. Commit to Nappy's, family-owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business.
Every millions fly with us at Allegiant because together we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh and reconnect. We remember and we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
In the past 50 years, we've made a lot of progress in smoking prevention. But if we don't do more, 1 out of every 13 children alive today will die early from smoking. That's 5.6 million precious lives we can save. Together, we can make the next generation tobacco-free.
And we welcome you to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, it looks like the roof cam may be down. It is, oh no. Well, that's okay. We'll make it. We'll make it together. All right, coming up in this hour, we're going to be talking with Elisa Trosha and Dahlia from ASSE.com, the International Student Exchange Program. You'll learn all about that program and how you can be a host family. So Pope Leo yesterday called on Cameroon's government to root out corruption and resist, quote, the whims of the rich and powerful. Leo's comments come as U.S. President Donald Trump criticized the Pope for advocating for peace and calling for an end to war in Iran. Well, that's a weird way of putting it. It's time to examine our conscience and take a bold leap forward, said Leo. In order for peace and justice to prevail, the chains of corruption, which disfigure authority and strip it of its credibility, must be broken. Hearts must be set free. All right. Now, a top Senate Republican has hit back at J.D. Vance's criticism of the Pope. John Thune, who has been receiving a lot of criticism himself, and rightfully so, with the SAVE Act and the job he's doing, which is not really advancing the Republican agenda. But he hit back at J.D. Vance when asked about Vance's recent comments about the Pope and telling the Pope to be careful. Vance, a convert to Catholicism, made the eyebrow-raising comment during that event at Turning Point USA. Quote, I think it's very, very important for the Pope to be careful when he talks about matters of theology. I like that the Pope is an advocate for peace. I think that's certainly one of his roles. On the other hand, how do you say that God is never on the side of those who wield the sword? Well, Thune's response to Vance was, isn't that his job? I'd stay focused on the economic issues, pocketbook issues that most Americans care about, and let the church be the church. Is that really, would John Thune really go that far with it, with his criticism of J.D. Vance? Is it all because people are critical, and rightfully so, that John Thune has done absolutely nothing with the SAVE Act and has not helped the Republicans really in any way, shape, or form as of recently? Wow, I don't know. Pick your battles, Thune. Vance's fraud, since we're talking about J.D. Vance, why not? Vance's fraud task force has suspended 400 California hospice businesses. As of Wednesday, 447 hospice businesses and 23 home health agencies around the state have been cut off because of alleged fraud, with a total of those suspensions being valued at more than $600 million. The numbers, obtained by Fox News, illustrate just how deep the corruption runs in California and other Democrat-run states where healthcare services have taken taxpayer money with little to no oversight, and this is likely just the tip of the iceberg. Vance said this: where there's fraud, the task force will find it. We will not stop until every hard-earned taxpayer dollar goes toward the honest Americans who deserve them. Wow. Can't wait till they get rooting it out here in New York as well. Okay, let's talk about Iran. I do have... Here's a comment from a viewer. Morning, Frank. I love it when these Democrats try and reinvent themselves to try to win another election. Yeah, in this case, they're trying to all show themselves as family men because of what happened with Eric Swalwell. But very often we'll see a candidate run, a Democrat candidate run as you would almost think a conservative, especially fiscally conservative. Their base voters are mostly criminal and don't care how corrupt they are. It's time to clean our country up, get rid of these un-American phonies, and take America back before it's too late. Thank you very much, viewer. So the Pentagon ramps up planning for possible military operations in Cuba, according to USA Today. Military planning for a possible Pentagon-led operation in Cuba is quietly ramping up in case President Trump gives an order to intervene there, according to USA Today. Two sources familiar with the order spoke on condition of anonymity because they're not authorized to speak to media. Take it with a grain of salt. The directives appear to be an escalation of recent tensions between the U.S. and Cuba that began in January. Reports of the plan to escalate first appeared on a Substack and made the rounds on Capitol Hill and across Washington. The United States and Cuba acknowledge they are in early stages of trying to find a way out of the crisis, but it's not clear how much each side is willing to compromise. In March, USA Today reported the two countries had been in discussions to sign a possible historic economic deal that would thaw relations. Even as Trump administration attention has shifted to the Iran war tensions, but Washington and Havana have escalated in recent weeks. Trump has suggested he expects soon to have the honor of taking Cuba in some form. Whether I free it, take it, I think I can do anything I want. We reported yesterday that he said something like, when Iran's over, we may stop on our way home in Cuba. But Trump and his administration are planning for an invasion of Cuba, according to reports. Again, two unnamed sources, though. But Trump, quote, planning invasion of Cuba as attack could be imminent. All right, imminent. All right. There we go. Just keeping you up to date. Now, Israel had a strike on Hezbollah that you may have heard about. It happened on April 8th. But Hezbollah, an Iran-backed terrorist group, saw its command structure across Lebanon come under what Israeli officials described as one of the most devastating blows of the war on April 8th. They said it was actually more devastating than the 2024 pager attack. Nearly simultaneously, explosions tore through Beirut, Lebanon, and Bekaa Valley in southern Lebanon as roughly 50 Israeli aircraft struck more than 100 Hezbollah targets. The targets were not rocket launchers or weapon depots, according to the Israeli Defense Forces, but the nerve center of the organization. Command rooms, intelligence headquarters, and offices where Hezbollah commanders planned the next stage of the fight. The strike marked a new phase in the war between Israel and Hezbollah, which erupted March 2nd after Hezbollah entered the conflict in support of Iran. One day after U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran and the killing of Iran's Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Okay. Iran has threatened to sink an American ship in the Strait of Hormuz, and also, in their bluster, claimed a U.S. ground invasion would be great. Mohsen Razi, the ex-commander-in-chief of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, mocked President Trump on state TV Wednesday, claiming he wants to be the, quote, police of the waterway before boasting Tehran's missile can take out American vessels. Is this really your job, he said? Is this the job of a powerful army like the U.S.? These ships of yours will be sunk by our first missiles and have created a great danger for the U.S. military. They can definitely be exposed to our missiles, and we can destroy them. Razi, a senior advisor to the Supreme Leader, challenged claims that Iran's navy has been completely obliterated, posing the question, why does the United States not dare to cross the Strait of Hormuz? He asserted Tehran would not leave the strait unless its rights are fully secured, and vowed it was the regime setting the terms, not Washington. Quote, based on past negotiations, agreements must be drafted more carefully with a strong focus on economic issues. Unlike the U.S., which fears prolonged war, Iran is fully prepared and experienced in long-term war. Unlike previous talks where the other side set the terms, Iran is now setting the preconditions. All right. They also yesterday, because of course we talked about the quote-unquote controversy of Trump sharing that photo or that AI-generated image of him, as some have said, Jesus. Trump himself said it as a doctor. Well, I guess Iran shared a AI video of Trump being killed by Jesus. Am I understanding this right? Where is it? The image marks an almighty improvement between heaven and Washington relations after Iran's AI video of Jesus throwing Donald Trump down to hell. Your reckoning has come, Jesus says in the clip, as he floats down to Trump, surrounded by American bald eagles. What is this? No, the AI Trump screams as Jesus punches him in the face with blood squirting out of his nose, and he tumbles screaming into a fiery pit. So that, I guess, was Iran trolling the president. Now, Trump says the U.S. could take Iran's uranium after the strikes. Where is it here? Iran will not have a nuclear weapon, and we're going to get the dust back. We'll get it back. Either we'll get it back from them or we will take it. Iran, we learned yesterday, is going to execute their first female protester tied to the anti-regime unrest. Bida Hamati was named in a collective death sentencing alongside 3 other defendants, including her husband. This is according to the National Council of Resistance of Iran and the human rights activist news agency. The couple's reported neighbors were also sentenced to death, while a relative received 5 years in prison. The verdict marks some of the most recent capital punishment decisions amid the government's broader crackdown on suppressing unrest. Possibly thousands of protesters have reportedly been killed since demonstrations erupted this year. So the first female protester tied to the protests in January 2026 will be executed. Where are the Hollywood celebrities? Where are these protesters that can find every weekend and sometimes in the middle of the week to protest here on Market Street with their, as we've seen so often, anti-Semitic signs in their support of Hamas, but they can't be bothered to try to be a voice, for the Iranian people who are being brutally murdered by the regime. U.S. issued their final threat to the ships that violate the Iran blockade. Quote, we will use force. The U.S. has announced a formal blockade of Iranian ports and coastal areas. This is illegal action, the military broadcast says. All vessels are advised to immediately return to port if leaving and discontinue transit to Iran. Do not attempt to breach the blockade. Vessels will be boarded and seizure transiting to and from Iranian ports. Turn around and prepare to be boarded. If you do not comply with this blockade, we will use force. The whole of the United States Navy is ready to force compliance, said the message. CENTCOM has deployed more than 24 warships and 10,000 service members to enforce the blockade along the Gulf of Oman, intercepting Iranian-linked ships that cross through the Strait of Hormuz. Okay. All right, a couple other quick. Oh, this is scary. We don't have a lot on Iran because I want to get the New York State issues because we're going to be talking. Yeah, we're going to get the New York State issues here, but we've got one other quick thing about Iran. Then we're going to hear from about ASSE.com. We're going to read your comments. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
An albino baby buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Day 1 of the National Glider Competition.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
When a child is fighting a critical illness, one truth touches us all. Every child deserves a childhood. A wish sparks a ripple of hope that transforms communities far and wide. And when we grant wishes together, we create a movement of kindness, strength, and unity. Yay! Become a wish maker today and be part of a journey that truly changes lives.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Our shower and thunderstorm chances are lower today with the storms more isolated in nature. West-southwest wind approaching 10 miles per hour. Temperatures above average by about 23 degrees as we manage the low 80s. Staying closer to average highs for our lows tonight in the upper 50s. Then for our Friday, we will continue to see a couple of showers earlier on. Otherwise, looking at a drier day before the next round of showers.
Our roof cam is down. Oh no. Must be because of the rain, maybe? We'll have to do a restart. Well, welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. We're so glad that you joined us. Let's go to some viewer comments. Apparently, the huge deficit our government faces is mostly because of fraud that the Democrats either ran or looked the other way. Probably for kickbacks to their communist Democrat election campaigns. Thank you very much. Got another, where was the other comment? I'm all out of order here. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. The media is going to have to manufacture a new crisis soon. The Iran situation appears to be manageable, and the stock market is at new highs. If they can't come up with something soon, they might find that they actually enjoy this quiet time. Good point. Thank you very much. Iran was using Chinese satellites to target the U.S. bases. The Chinese Foreign Ministry on Wednesday denied a report that Iran used a Chinese-built spy satellite to target American military bases for missiles and drone attacks during Operation Epic Fury. The Financial Times published the results of an investigation that found Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, a designated terrorist organization, was given control of a Chinese spy satellite known as TO-1B in late 2024. So is China getting involved? It should come as no surprise. The Chinese foreign minister says the international community demands the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Working to resume normal passage of the strait is a unanimous call from the international community. They said, well, we know where their allegiance. We talked about it from the day one of this program, and even before on its radio predecessor, the kind of axis of evil, if you will, the China, Iran, and Russia axis. Tim Kaine, remember that name? He lost with Hillary Clinton. He was supposed to be Hillary Clinton's vice president. He said President Trump had blundered this nation into a war of choice. Quote, this war is deeply unpopular, and of course it is. You go into a war with no rationale, with no plan, no work to get allies on board, no consultation with Congress, certainly not a vote by Congress, and guess what? It doesn't work out well. And the American people really hate this war. I represent Virginia, a very pro-military state, but a lot of folks in my state have sons, daughters, and spouses deployed right now or are worried that they will be deployed, and they're asking questions like, what is this for? Have we learned nothing from 25 years of unproductive war in the Middle East? So yes, Donald Trump has lashed out at everybody he can, but the bottom line is he has blundered this nation into a war of choice after tearing up a diplomatic deal that was working. And American troops are dying and others are suffering as a result. Now, as I've mentioned, first of all, doesn't that sound like they all definitely have the same talking point? I know we talk about that a lot. The big question is, does the media give Democrats the talking point or the Democrats give the media the talking points? It's a fair question. But they all sound exactly the same. But there is a sort of glee, and I don't accept their premise that we're in any way, shape, or form losing this. But their premise is, when they are making their talking points, they almost seem giddy or full of glee, thinking that we could be losing this, or that and it was the New York Times reporter who said that they don't want a victory because, and I'm paraphrasing, but they don't want a victory because it would be politically helpful for Trump. That is what we're seeing in their response, like Tim Kaine and others in their response to the war on Iran, is the definition of Trump derangement syndrome. That imagine some of the things that Tim Kaine, Hakeem Jeffries, and others have been saying. Imagine your son or daughter is in the military and you have to hear them with their almost happiness, that lilt in their voice. CNN says Iran war has some Republicans worried their chances of keeping the House are slipping away. It's so nice when CNN is concerned for Republicans, a group they never want to see win an election ever again. Republicans are worried that their chances of keeping... I thought we already learned, what, a year ago, it was all over by the shouting. Republicans stood no chance. The Republicans were going to lose no matter what. So now it's just the Iran war that's done it? Unbelievable. All right, when we come back, we are going to hear... Oh, actually, no, I have a minute. Yeah, no, we're going to go to... I want to do this. We got a minute. Let's jump into New York State issues. How did this get out of order? Yeah, no, I already said Israeli strike on Hezbollah deadlier than the 2024 pager attack. Yeah, this got out of order. I apologize. I already mentioned that. Okay. The DEC, I know we have a big contingency of viewers to hunt out there. Well, right now, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation is looking for your opinion. It has proposed changes on the table regarding its deer management permit process. DEC wildlife biologist Brendan Curion says the deer population is growing exponentially, and this could lead to an increase in deer vehicle collisions. The State Department of Transportation says there are upwards of 70,000 a year already. Quarian says that too many deer can also reduce the regeneration that needs to take place, adding that they are seeing deer declining because there isn't enough food. Those deer are also struggling to fend off disease. The proposed regulations are intended to encourage and incentivize hunters to harvest more female deer to get the population in check. The first change is breaking the barriers to access deer management permits. Quarian explains it would allow unlimited transfers of DMP, deer management permits, between hunters and increase the number of wildlife management units that have unlimited DMPs. Another proposal expanding the 9-day season for antlerless deer in mid-September to other wildlife management units. Finally, if a hunter harvests an antlerless deer, they can get a second buck tag. Wow. Well, what do you think? I know we have a lot of hunters out there. Again, unlimited transfers of deer management permits. So, hey, if you see a doe out there, buddy, I got an extra permit. You can go ahead and have it. Another proposal expanding the 9-day season for antlerless deer in mid-September to other wildlife management units. Okay. And if a hunter harvests an antlerless deer, they get a second buck tag. Quarian said, so we're to a point where hunters need to realize that they play a role in the stewardship of the deer population. And deer harvest is critical to that. And if they want healthy deer populations and healthy deer on the landscape, they have to play their role in taking antlerless deer. Rod Bula, the big game chair of the New York State Conservation Council, says they like the idea of the proposal, but they still need to discuss them together before giving full approval or sharing any changes with the DEC. His concern is the, quote, earn a second buck proposal. Bula says that while some wildlife management units are imbalanced between does and bucks, others are quiet. Quiet? What does that mean? For the years that I hiked in the High Peaks region, seeing a deer is very rare. So to be issuing a doe permit in one of those regions doesn't seem like it would be logical to do. Public comment is open through May the 17th. The goal is to have the proposals in place before the hunting season begins in September. So your thoughts on that to all the hunters. All right, we got to take a break. When we return, we will hear from Elisa Trosha and Dahlia from ASSE.com, the International Student Exchange Program. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking right after this.
More cars, lower prices. Simmons Rockwell. Whether you're in the market for new, used, or certified pre-owned, Simmons Rockwell locations across the Twin Tiers have more of what you're looking for with our best price right on the windshield. Make car buying simple when you drive your deal at a Simmons Rockwell location near you, where you'll always find more cars at lower prices.
You deserve primary care that connects. Care that helps you move forward. Care that connects you to world-class specialists. Care that connects you to providers who are part of your community. And care that connects you to the life you love. Because great healthcare comes from providers who care about connection just like you. Find your primary care appointment at centralishealth.org/schedule.
Thousands of North Atlantic right whales used to swim along the east coast of the United States and Canada. Collisions with ships and entanglement in fishing gear are killing these magnificent animals every year. They could go extinct in your lifetime. But there's hope. If we act now, before it's too late, join Oceana to save North Atlantic right whales from extinction.
There have always been a few, ready to fight and win. Since 1775, these few have been Marines, and they come from across this land to defend the future of our nation. This year, our Corps celebrates 250 years, and Marines are proud to serve this country, each other, and all that is still to come for America.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio, we're talking about ASSE.com, the International Student Exchange Program. Elisa, welcome back, and welcome Dahlia.
Hi. Hi.
Is this your first time on TV?
Yeah.
Oh, are you excited or are you nervous?
I am excited and nervous both.
Perfect. That's how we want it. Let's start out. I know, Elisa, you've been on in the past to talk about this. Tell us a little bit about ASSE.com.
Yeah, it's an agency that places exchange students with host families in the U.S. So students that want to come over here and have an enriching experience, and they're from all over the world. So it's really neat. And Dahlia, she actually had to earn a scholarship to come over here. Okay. Some of the programs, she's what's called a flex program. So she has to do a lot more work than some of the other exchange students so that she can have her experience here.
What does, and we're going to get into where you're from and all that, but what does a scholarship look like? What did you have to do?
So I had to apply for it, and I started in August 2024, and I had to write like a lot of essay and everything like that, and then I had to go to my capital city, which is Chisinau, and I had to give an interview completely in English and write an essay in person answering to 3 questions about myself, and then I had to have like volunteering activities and being engaged in my community in order for me to be selected to come here. So.
What were the 3 questions about yourself?
So one of them was when I had the problem, how did I solve it, and who did I reach to? And then the other one was what was a big event in my life and how did I solve it, like how did I deal with it and my time management. And then the other one was how do you engage in your community every single day and on your school life, and if you fail, how would you get back up?
Oh, wow. Those are tough questions.
I know. It's so good.
So you mentioned this is quite a long process. Why did you decide you wanted to be an exchange student?
So when I was 6 years old, actually, that's when it started, all of it. Yeah. I was watching movies with my grandmother because basically she's like a big part of my life and everything, and we were watching together. And then I saw like English movies and American life and everything. And I was like, one day I want to move there or I want to study college there. So that's when I started learning English with Duolingo using the app.
Oh, wow.
So I started
That's impressive. That's so impressive.
Yeah, so I started then, and then my process just got like bigger. I started being like interested on how to apply to universities there and how to come here. And then the opportunity of becoming an exchange student came up. And I had people that I knew that applied for this and got in. So I saw the announcements and everything, and I started applying for it.
So would you say the America that you saw on TV is what it is truly like?
It depends because it has like benefits and something that I saw on TV and it's quite not true, you know, because TV is like sometimes to shape things.
Sure, of course.
So yeah, so some things like the school spirit and everything what comes with it are similar, but then some other stuff, for example, I don't know, how people live their everyday life and how the government works and things like that, it's just different.
Yeah. So where, and we should have started with this, where are you from exactly?
I'm from Moldova.
Okay.
It's a small country in Eastern Europe between Romania and Ukraine.
I saw that on Wikipedia. I knew that. I looked it up.
We had to look it up.
Yeah.
Oh, what have you been able, how long have you been here?
I've been here since August.
Since August?
Yeah.
What are kind of the highlights that you've been able to experience?
Well, first of all, school spirit. And then when I came here, I lived with a different house family and we camped in the Adirondack Mountains.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we camped there. And then I made a lot of friends here from school that I bonded with. My host family, I also met people from my country. And I also been to Washington, D.C. to a workshop.
Oh, that's fun.
And I got to experience like Washington, D.C., the Capitol Hill, all the museums. And I had interviews with people that are senators.
Oh my goodness,
So,
that's really impressive. How different is it? I know it's a little bit different because you're coming over here as an exchange student. How different is it in Moldova than it is here in the United States?
Well, first of all, the houses look very different, like the architecture and everything is different. Then the food is a lot different. And then the government works different than the one from home and everything. You know, it's just like another culture that you have to immerse. And then the people, how they think, how they act, what they do, it's just different how it is at home. Sometimes people here rush more than they do at home.
Sure.
And so like you have to observe all of this and try to understand in order for you to have like success in here.
What have you missed the most about home?
I think the food and the family.
Everybody always says the food. How different is your food? Tell us about your food for a minute. This is everybody's favorite part.
Yeah. So, like, food is more healthy, I believe, in Moldova.
Everybody says that.
Yeah. So, like, we have something that is called sarmale, which is some cabbage rolls with rice and meat and carrots, like, inside.
Yeah.
And they're so good. And you eat them with sour cream, which I love. I love sour cream. I put it on bread and everything. Which, unfortunately, sour cream is not as good here as it is at home.
Tastes different.
Yeah, it tastes different. Yeah. And then like borscht, there is something that it's also a traditional food, and all of it is just like different. I had a hard time adapting to the food here.
Do you have a favorite food here though?
Yeah, my host mom, she cooks really good, and she makes something that is called like a cheeseburger soup or something like that.
Oh yeah, cheeseburger soup.
Yeah, and I love soups, so that's my favorite definitely. And Chick-fil-A, I love Chick-fil-A.
Where's your Chick-fil-A? That's so funny. How have you liked the school? Because you're going to Addison, correct?
Yeah.
How do you like the school?
I like it because it's a small school. It's like a very small high school, and compared to the one that I go at home, it's bigger. But in the same time, it's like easier to make connections and like to talk with people and with like teachers. So I get really on with teachers, with students and everything. But sometimes, to be honest, it's hard because, for example, something is going on in the school and then everyone knows about it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So,
well,
yeah.
That's any school, though.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to the size of the school. Elisa, does this bring back memories? Because obviously you've been on the program in the past with Sylvia being there.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, I love this program and I love meeting the students. They're so intelligent and excited to be here, and the energy, and then so I think I'm excited to connect with Sylvia and tell her about you.
Yeah, and it's exciting to see your excitement. You've obviously been having a good time. What grade are you in?
I'm in 12th grade here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's different back home?
Yeah, because back home I am supposed to be a junior in 11th grade, but here they put me as a senior so I could experience all like the senior trip and prom and everything as a senior.
Yeah.
And then when I go home I have to finish my high school year and do again be a senior again.
Well, how was all that? How was the prom? How was everything like that?
Prom is coming up, on May 16th. Yeah.
Are you excited?
Yeah, I am so excited
Her dress
and everything.
is beautiful.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
When you go back, you said you have another year. Do you have plans? Like, what's your future look like? College? Do you have a profession you want to get into?
Yeah. So after I go home and I finish my high school year, I want to apply to universities, and I'm still thinking either Romania or some university in Europe. And I want to study global politics or international relations or international law. So I'm still between those.
Well, yeah.
So,
That's everybody's choice.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing when I was in school.
Yeah.
What is it that draws you so much to the politics of things?
Just like I love to be engaged in what is going on, and I like to know what is going on in the world, and I also try to understand like why do people make some decisions that make, how the government works, how those things like apply in everyday's life, how the government decision that they take, how it affects our life, you know. So
Sure.
I like all about this, and I want to experience like my country making bonds with another country. Why did they choose that country?
Sure.
Yeah, is it a
International.
smart move or it's not a smart move?
So do you watch the news? Like when you're home, is that what you watch?
Yeah, I watch the news. I watch with my grandmother the news a lot too.
Yeah.
Or with my parents. And also here after I get out of the school, because there's a time difference of 7 hours between here and my country. I also like get my phone out and like watch the news and see what's going on at home and how is the politics.
Was it difficult, not just because of the time frame, was it difficult to adjust to life over here at first?
At first, pretty much so, yeah, because I noticed that it's different. As I said, it's different than what I'm used with. But then as time passed by and I had like people besides me and everything, then I started adapting to it. But definitely, for sure, food was the hardest part. It took me like 2 months, yeah.
we understand it's a food.
Yeah.
Was it also, because I think this is intimidating. I know I talked about this with Sylvia. So it's tough enough to go to a new school, but then you go to a new school with people that essentially, I mean, you're doing great, but it could speak a foreign language, a different language, and you don't know a soul. What was that like your first day going to school?
Oh, it was scary.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it was so scary. I didn't know what to wear or how to act and everything. Then I came to school, and I'm like, it's so strange because it's so different, and the hallways look all the same. Not different colors, not anything. I was so lost on the first day of school. And then I got to my first class, and then over there I met 3 girls that started talking with me, and one of them is my host sister now.
Oh, wow.
Actually, yeah, because I had to switch host families. And she asked me if I want to sit at lunch with them, and her first question about myself was, "Are you a foreigner?" And I was like,
"Who gave me?
No.
Who gave it away?"
No, not at all.
And I was like, yeah. And then we started talking and everything, and had lunch together. And then I remember that I was late to my Spanish class, and I was like so scared because I'm like, oh, I'm late. What's gonna happen now? Because people told me that you're not supposed to be late because then they mark you tardy and everything. And then everyone was looking at me like staring because who's this that came in and like it's late. Yes, and I was like so nervous, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I just got lost over there, so everyone was just looking.
Well, and you said that it's a lot shorter in between classes back home. Yeah. It's like 15 minutes between classes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's too much downtime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too much. 15 minutes is too much downtime. You can cause trouble in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, what has this experience meant to you when you come back and when you go back home and you reflect on it? What are you taking away from it?
I think there is a lot. First of all, I'm more independent now than I used to be. And I think I'm like more critical thinking, and like I feel like I will engage myself faster in more cultures rather than I used to be, you know. So yeah, I think that's the most part of it.
Would you recommend it to your friends back home?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely recommending to everyone that wants to apply. I think it's a great experience, and I think no one's exchange year is perfect, but it's what you make out of it, and just live most of it. And even if sometimes you have hard times, just try to push through, and every time when you have a fall down, you always can come back. Just don't give up and just apply to it.
Well, I think she's got everybody hooked on becoming a host family for ASSE.com. Elisa, what does that process look like? If someone's thinking about, they're watching this, what does it take to be a host, and what would you tell them after they're experiencing it?
Yeah, so there's a full application process that they have to go out. They go online, they fill out the application. If the application is approved, that's just the first step. There's background checks, credit checks. They need to make sure that financially you can care for a student in the home for the year. And they come out and do home visits and home studies. You have to have multiple references. My biggest thing is, if this is something that somebody is interested in, really think about how you this is going to apply to your entire family. Make
Sure.
sure everybody's on board and you're serious about it, because you don't want to get involved and then have a student come here and decide, I don't think this is for me.
Right.
So you really have to be committed to the process. But it's an amazing experience
Well, it
for
seems
everybody involved.
I love the stories, and that's why I'm so glad you can be on. I have to ask Elisa a question outside of this. Is that okay?
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
Oh.
It's your
It's
interview.
okay,
It's your
okay,
interview.
okay.
Colonial Days.
Yes,
I know
it's
you
right
got
on
the Miss Colonial
corner.
Days pageant. So that actually registration, correct me if I'm wrong, starts Friday.
It's
tomorrow.
going to start, this week. So super excited about that. We'll have the applications will be online. We have a Facebook page and the website.
Okay.
And ages 4 to 18 can apply, and it's a lot of fun. So
Well, good.
we're
I want
excited
to get that
up.
plug in. Is that
Thank
okay?
you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Back to the real star.
Okay.
Okay. Last couple questions. When's your last day?
June 11th. That's when I have my flight to go back.
Do you feel like it's coming up close?
Yeah.
She was dreaming about it last night.
Oh,
yeah, I had a dream about it.
And
So-
I always ask this question. I think it's kind of stupid because I know the answer. Are you going to stay in touch with your friends and your host family?
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely my plan. We all social media is a big thing right now, so we all just gonna keep in touch on social media. And I'm planning actually on visiting back. I don't know when, but I hope that I come visit back.
And I'm excited to hear about the politics. I'm so intrigued by this.
right?
Okay, first thing you do when you return.
First thing that I do when I return back home.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have a good meal
I
with
knew
my
it.
family.
I would have guessed that.
And my friends. And actually, my birthday is June 18. So after I return home, just my birthday coming up, and all my relatives and everyone is just gonna come and visit me for my birthday.
Oh, that's so much fun.
So yeah, and then I actually have to give exams to the school. Yeah, and I'm taking a computer science class right now, and it's in weekends at 2 a.m. from 2 a.m. to 4:30 a.m.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and
You're doing that now?
Yeah, I'm doing that now.
Because that would make sense with a time change, right?
Yeah, so I have to do it during weekends, and then when I go home, I have to give the exams about it, and yeah, just.
Well, final thing, I do this every time. If you can, in your native tongue, what would you say to the people watching back home?
Mulțumesc foarte mult pentru că m-ați invitat. Sunt foarte fericită să fiu aici. Abia aștept să vin acasă și mulțumesc la toți care vă uitați. Abia aștept. Pa, pa!
Oh, that's so nice. I'm assuming that's really nice. I really hope it's nice. Well, thank you for giving us so much time and for doing this, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you
Stay
so
in touch,
much.
okay?
Thank you, yep.
How'd it go?
Great.
Good, okay,
Yeah.
good. All right. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is a start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
When you spend 100 years building chainsaws, you get really good at building chainsaws. So when Steel built the mower, we built the chainsaw mowers. New blade, same bloodline.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Our shower and thunderstorm chances are lower today with the storms more isolated in nature. West-southwest wind approaching 10 miles per hour. Temperatures above average by about 23 degrees as we manage the low 80s. Staying closer to average highs for our lows tonight in the upper 50s. Then for our Friday, we will continue to see a couple of showers earlier on. Otherwise, looking at a drier day before the next round of showers.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. The roof camera down, maybe because of the weather this morning. We got to say thank you to Elisa and Dahlia from ASSE.com, the International Student Exchange Program. Let's go to some viewer comments. This is in regards to the proposed changes to your deer permits. I'm all in on harvesting more deer, antlers or no antlers. There are far too many and are making for dangerous driving conditions. Also, please post the dates of the upcoming book sale again. Hey, thank you for that. I always like when people give me an opportunity to promote that. I'll keep reading the comments and I'll put it up on screen. There you go. I'll write it down this time. Okay. Did you know that if you put a bunch of Clinton, Obama, and Comey soft covers in a box, they make cheap archery targets? Thank you very much. Yes, there is your Friends of the Southeast Steuben County Library Spring Book Sale. I'll keep that up when I read Mark's comment. His is a little bit different take on it. It sounds like to me the insurance companies are behind this kill more doe policy. I only shoot bucks as when you kill a doe, you are killing 3 because they have babies in them. So I say leave it the way it is now. Thank you, Mark. Oh, look, okay. Look, listen to this. This is so nice. Good morning, Frank. That was a really fun interview. Thank you. Well, yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun, wasn't it? And a comment from a different viewer. Your interview with Dahlia was great. The entire senior class at Addison will probably get to watch Frankly Speaking and will be hooked for life. I hope so. Hi to everybody in Addison, the class of 2026 that are watching right now. Yeah, I thought that was a really fun interview. And that's always a hit when Lisa brings in one of the International Student Exchange Program students. We always have a lot of fun with it. We actually saw Sylvia grow through the years into the person she is today, because she was here for a full year and we started, I think, her first week. By the time she was getting ready to leave, we saw the change. It was really kind of neat. Rick writes in, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Rick. A 250-foot tall Trump arch. That sounds too much like Trump. The details were released at the White House daily briefing on Monday. Don't we have a war, high pricing, no insurance for many hungry and homeless Americans? Let's worry about that and work on ending, providing, and slashing the above. That's all we need is something else to remind us of Trump. I'm surprised he hasn't put his face on a box of Wheaties yet. I think that's probably up to the Wheaties Corporation. Dr. Donald, the Red Cross physician, says the war is almost over. That's why they're sending more troops over there. And a new picture of Trump with Jesus. Come on, all right? I saw a picture of Trump standing in front of a church holding a Bible upside down during his first term. Don't recall seeing him around a church other than that time. Yeah, he's been to church a few times. Trump says that a party wins the presidency, that party always loses in the midterms. Dr. Trump says he doesn't know why. Excuse me, I just had to go and stick my head in the freezer and scream. There you go. There, we're caught up on comments. Now, we had mentioned New York State issues. We'll continue with that. We actually have to take a break already. I ran a little long with our good friends from International Exchange, a student exchange program. But just for your own information, Governor Kathy Hochul and her husband made a combined income of over $1.86 million last year, nearly 25% more than the $1.5 million they reported in 2024. While the pair lists Buffalo as their primary residence, the Hochul stated that they spent 12 months in 5 bureaus, making them subject to the city's combined state and local income tax. They own a home in Buffalo and a vacation property in Virginia, and also rent an apartment in Manhattan. Wait, isn't this at a time when she's asking if you have 2 houses in New York, you pay even higher taxes? Wow. The first gentleman, William Hochul, made an annual salary of $1.3 million at the white shoe law firm Davis Polk Wardwell. He also draws a deferred payment of $102,960 from his old job at hospitality company Delaware North and drew a pension of just over $48,000. Meanwhile, Hochul raked in $250,000 as the nation's highest paid governor. The couple paid $592,000 in federal tax, $117,000 to New York State, and $66,000 to the city. They donated just over $78,000 to charity, including Planned Parenthood, the Franciscan Sisters of St. Joseph Covenant House, and the City Mission of Schenectady. A spokesman for the governor said more details about their investments would be made available on May 15 in a state ethics filing. The couple also has investments in foreign countries, including Toronto Dominion Bank in Canada, Johnson Control International in Ireland, Ferrari MV in the Netherlands, and AstraZeneca in the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, Hochul's Republican gubernatorial opponent, Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman, did not make his taxes available to the press on Wednesday, but the spokesperson says he plans to release them. So $1.86 million in income in the Hochul family. On that note, you heard the Corning whistle. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Save up to $50 on select AK battery tools. Shop in-store or online.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Youth Clubs provides professional and technical assistance to all our affiliate clubs all around the world. We already have 44 countries that are behind us providing safe spaces for kids, but there are 160 other countries we'd like to reach out to. Yeah. Right, Rod? Exactly. We need you to help fund the World Youth Clubs and make their dream come true.
Well, the Frankly Speaking roof cam's down, but that's okay. We thank Boss Security anyway. So New York is going to repeal, let me reword that. Almost completely changed the meaning of this. New York's repeal of the 100-foot rule is delayed until 2027. Governor Kathy Hochul signed an amendment delaying the repeal of the state's 100-foot rule until April 10th, 2027. Let's see. Well, after the election. Interesting. The repeal would have forced property developers, builders, and new applicants to pay for the materials and installation of new connections to natural gas. The delay gives the State Public Service Commission more time to establish regulations over how the costs of a new gas hookup are paid and by whom. It also says here, critics say the policy drives up expenses, limits reliable energy, and hurts families and small businesses. Now, the repeal doesn't ban new connections to gas line. It does force property developers, builders, and new applicants to pay for the materials and installation of the new connections to natural gas. In June of 2025, the legislature voted to end a long-standing policy that made New Yorkers who are current natural gas customers split the cost for any new gas connection. So now it is being delayed until after the election. That's one way to do it. Now, speaking of energy, State Senator Tom O'Mara, friend of Frankly Speaking, announced that every New York State Senate Democrat voted against common sense proposals, including a measure he sponsored to return unspent state funds to ratepayers that would provide immediate and real relief to New Yorkers from skyrocketing utility bills in the midst of the affordability crisis. The legislation offered as amendments on the floor by O'Mara and Senator Rob Rawlinson would have ensured New Yorkers who are being bombarded with skyrocketing energy costs are able to keep more of their hard-earned money. For the second time this season, Senate Democrats struck down the proposal that would, quote, allow unspent funds from the New York State Energy and Research Development Authority's, NYSERDA, climate investment account to be returned directly to taxpayers. At a time when New Yorkers are having trouble paying their skyrocketing utility bills, there's nearly $3 billion that could be returned to ratepayers as credit on utility bills. And provide a 1-year utility bill tax and surcharge holiday and 2-year green energy tax holiday. Government taxes and fees account for between 25 and 50% of a customer's utility bill. This bill would provide meaningful and immediate relief to taxpayers as they face skyrocketing energy costs. O'Mara said the Senate Republican Conference has repeatedly offered alternative plans and proposals that we believe are more focused on affordability, feasibility, and reliability, and which, if enacted, would better protect ratepayers from the ever-rising costs they're struggling under now. It is irresponsible for New York State to go on asking ratepayers to bear the burden of a strategy that's not working and that won't work as it stands. New York ratepayers need relief now, and Albany Democrats keep saying no. Senate Republicans have previously advanced these proposals in an effort to provide affordability to New Yorkers, but once again, when given the opportunity to provide true relief and savings to New Yorkers, every single Senate Democrat chose politics over policy and said no. So thank you to Senator Tom O'Mara. We got to take a break. Then we're going to wrap up today's edition. Get your last second comments in, and we'll be right back.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
When it's a home improvement, Horsehead's Do-It Center has you covered. Family-owned, locally trusted, and packed with everything you need for any project. From top-quality tools to kitchen and bath essentials, we make it easy. Competitive prices, expert advice, friendly service. Visit us at 124 North Main Street or online at doitbest.com/horseheads today.
Kids time. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Our shower and thunderstorm chances are lower today with the storms more isolated in nature. West-southwest wind approaching 10 miles per hour. Temperatures above average by about 23 degrees as we manage the low 80s. Staying closer to average highs for our lows tonight in the upper 50s. Then for our Friday, we will continue to see a couple of showers earlier on. Otherwise, looking at a drier day before the next round of showers.
And we are back, getting ready to wrap up today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Wow. Time went fast. Oh, by the way, Elise Stefanik's book is out. Bethany Mandel from New York Post says, with one question, Representative Elise Stefanik became the general of a war against anti-Semitism on college campuses across America. Quote, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate your university's code of conduct? End quote. The Ivy League president she questioned in December of 2023, just weeks after the atrocities of October 7th, led to an explosion of anti-Semitism at their schools, could not answer it. Stefanik's new book, Poisoned Ivies, explains how elite universities arrived at that moment and why it was no flash-in-the-pan controversy, but an indicator of a long decline. The story she tells is about everything that led up to the hearing and everything that followed as reactions and responses came pouring into her office over weeks and months. So again, that is out, I believe, now. Poison Ivies. All right, a couple comments from viewers as we get ready to wrap up. It sounds like some people believe that the government should be required to provide food and health care for its citizens. I believe that Jesus has asked us as individuals to care for the poor, not the government. Yeah, that's how the left operates. The charity that they believe in is paid for by people that may not want to donate to the charity. You may not want to donate to, for instance, Planned Parenthood, but they'll use your tax dollars to do so. That's how they want to do it. So kind of a forced kind of donation. Comment from Mark, how convenient for Hochul to change things to get elected just to change them back after. Have a great day. Yeah, much like congestion pricing. Where she said, no, we're not going to have congestion pricing, and delayed it until after the election when the midterms were over. And then what happened? Put the congestion pricing right into play. All right, New York's green elephant climate projects are collapsing under the weight of math, says the Post editorial board. Nearly 24 New York clean energy projects are likely to get scrapped because the financial math doesn't add up, though the state powers that be don't want to admit that it never did. Officially, NYSERDA is simply refusing to renegotiate state contracts to build various wind and solar plants, likely leading its counterparties to pull out. These companies want more cash because the project's costs have soared since the deals were inked, mainly because NYSERDA winked at unlikely early estimates with an expectation that it would okay more realistic numbers later on. In at least one earlier round, it simply rebid the contract to reflect true costs. But that game is up now that those costs are becoming undeniable, and consumers are already screaming at the electric rate hikes needed to cover the bills. It's all part of the con that is New York's 2019 Climate Act, a scam that set insane goals for decarbonizing the state's electricity grid and outlined imaginary steps to paint the transition as practical. Green ideologues always figure deception is the best way to get government started on such reforms, hoping that they can get the politicians into keeping the scam going by concealing how exorbitant the costs really are. On this front, Hochul's GOP opponent, Bruce Blakeman, has it right. Albany needs to call the whole thing off ASAP. If Albany gets away with simply kicking the can, it's likely to kick regular New Yorkers in the head after Election Day. That does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Thank you to everyone who joined us. Thank you to our friends Elisa and Dahlia from International Student Exchange Program. Join us every weekday morning starting at 6 for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV. Big Fox. We'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. Look forward to it already.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Acts happen. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. Commit to Nappy's, family owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business.
Bob has a moment where it could slow down, or it could keep moving. At D&L Supply and Rental, we focus on what actually matters, keeping your momentum. From emergency rentals to weekend projects, we make it easy, we make it fast, we make it right. Less downtime, because our team knows the job, has what you need, and gets it to you even on Saturdays. D&L, built for momentum.
Come enjoy Spring Craft Show April 18th, where you'll find the perfect gifts for Mother's Day, Father's Day, and more. From homemade decor, candles, jewelry, wreaths, and more. A 50-50 raffle, Chinese auction, and food to enjoy. All brought to you by the Horseheads Elks Lodge.